Hello, everybody. How's it going? Happy Sunday. I am Scott Pinyard. I'm the head coach of This Naked Mind, and I am here this Sunday, like I am most Sundays. Not every Sunday. I missed last week. It's a busy time of year. But I'm here to talk to you about what I've been thinking about, what has been on my mind, and today I want to talk a little bit about normal. Um, I'll get into that in a second, but before I do, I want to invite you to think about your relationship with alcohol and think about if maybe right now is a good time to do an experiment. And what do I mean by an experiment? An experiment where we remove alcohol from your life just for 30 days, and there's no commitment or requirement going forward. But for those 30 days, you don't drink, and we teach you about alcohol. We teach you about how it affects us physically and mentally and emotionally. And we spend time just examining alcohol's role in our life as a way of making an informed decision to go forward. If you are interested in changing your relationship with alcohol, and if you think this experiment is something that could give you a different perspective, then I invite you to join me and some incredible coaches over at the Live Alcohol Experiment. You can find out more about that at taelive.com. I'm actually going to put that link right in here so you guys can see that. But taelive.com is where you can find out more about this. It is an amazing 30 days. You get all types of community and connection that just makes a huge difference. And so what we do for 30 days is every single day we drop some content. That content has to do with alcohol and how it affects us and how it kind of weaves its way into our lives. And every single day we have coaches, certified Naked Mind coaches that Annie Grace and I have trained personally to that go live in the group, just like this, to answer your questions. And it can literally be any question. So if that sounds good to you, I highly suggest you join us for the Live Alcohol Experiment starting tomorrow, by the way, which is March 1st already, which is what got me thinking about this. So come on and please join us at the livealcoholexperiment.com, taelive.com. Would love to see you there. All right, I'm going to dive into this idea of normal. Before I do, though, hey, Leanne, how are you? Good to see you. I would like to invite you guys to send me questions. Please send me questions. I will be happy to answer your questions. I want to talk a little bit about this idea of normal, and then we can move into that. So, returning to normal. I just went to the grocery store. That's very exciting. I know it's a great thing to do a live about, right? I went to the grocery store, so I live in Maine. The winters here are cold and snowy, and I live on the coast. I'm in Portland, so it's lots of like heavy wet snow, and I'm not gonna lie, this time of the year is kind of a bummer. And so I went out to just go to the grocery store, do something today, and it is almost 50 degrees. Like the snow is melting. I went out with my wife earlier and I actually rolled the car window down. It was like, oh my God. And so after such a really long, it's been just a long year for everybody, right? I mean, we're right around a year when coronavirus first affected us. And I started feeling these feelings that you guys probably know very well, right? When spring happens, it starts warming up and you just start feeling like alive again, right? And I started thinking a lot about what we're all going to be going through over 2021. There's a lot of good stuff happening around vaccines for coronavirus. I know more and more people are getting them. And so, everybody, I think we are on the road to normal. And I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about what is it that we've learned over this last year that we take into normal. But first, I want to say hi to a few people. Lance, man, how's it going? Good to see you. Rich, hello. Hey, Barb, how are you? Yeah, join us, Barb. I'd love to have you join us for the Live Alcohol Experiment. And again, folks, I want to encourage you guys, say hello, drop some questions my way. I'll be happy to answer any of them. Anyway, so normal. right? I was thinking about this and I was like, wow, I have done a lot of personal development work over this time. I know a lot of people in our programs have done a tremendous amount of work. There are people who quit drinking during the pandemic, right? There was so much that happened over this last year, and so now we are facing this next thing, which is returning to normal, right? Turning to normal, getting back to remember going to concerts, right? Do you remember going to a park and not having to wear a mask? That is like right around the corner. Barbecues, family parties, work events, community events, like all of this stuff is about to happen. And it's going to take a while, right? Vaccines are taking time. There's a lot of people in the world. And so, of course, it's going to take a long time for us to get there. But I don't think it's too early to start thinking about what is normal going to look like. And the fact is, for a lot of us over this last year, normal isn't going to look like what normal looked like before all this started, right? Normal is going to be different. And maybe you're in the group of people who quit drinking during this pandemic, right? And there's a lot of you out there. I've met a lot of you. You're an amazing group of people. Maybe instead of actually quitting drinking during this pandemic, you've realized, whoa, this kind of sped me up on the journey I was on. I have friends, and I've talked to them personally, who've always said, I don't know if drinking's really what I want to do, or if this is something that's going to serve me long term. Translation on that is like, I feel like I'm going down a bad road with alcohol. But I have friends for whom the pandemic sped that journey up, right? They got to the point where they decided, wait a minute, I need to change my relationship with alcohol much sooner because of this pandemic. So maybe you're in that group, right? Or maybe you're somewhere in between. But no matter where you are, we are at a place right now where things are going to open back up, where we're going to have a new version of normal, right? And this is going to be huge because it's giving all of us an opportunity to go back into normal life in this new way, right? And so I was thinking about it. I was walking my dog and I was like, well, what set of things could I tell people, whether no matter what camp they were in, if they were in the camp that quit drinking or if they were in the camp that realize they need to quit drinking, what do they have in common, right? What is it about the, from this Naked Minds message or my personal message that I could say that can make this easier? And I came up with three things. I came up with three things that really are massively helpful. So what I want to do is I want to give you those three things. I'm going to say hi to a few more people, but I want to give you those three things and I want to talk about them in both groups. I want to talk about these three things both for the people who quit during the pandemic and the people who have realized, wait a minute, things have gotten a little bit out of control during the pandemic. I want to make a change. So first, let me say hi to a few people. Jennifer, how's it going? Hey, Laura. Yeah, Laura, please join us again. There is nothing wrong with repetition of this stuff. The more you go through it, the more you see this stuff, the more you get engaged with it. It makes such a huge difference. Patty says, I've been in and out of AA for years. Will this help someone like me? Yes, Patty, it absolutely will. AA, there are so many people. MJ's on it replying to you. Thank you, MJ. Good to see you. But, a lot of people come to our program after being in AA or in supplement to AA. And they find that this approach it can really help them. So yes, absolutely, this can help someone like you. Let's see. Kim says, I feel that if you just get to the point, I would benefit from it. So long-winded, I turn off. Well, I'm sorry about that, Kim. I apologize. But I'm going to continue saying hi to a few people and continuing here. So MJ, yes, positive and empowering. Exactly, MJ. Maria. Hi, Maria. How are you? Good to see you today. Irene, hello. Bailey, Bevan, I love my new life. That is very exciting to me. I love hearing that. Thank you for sending that. It makes my day. Libby, how's it going? Libby, good to see you. Maria is 4 months alcohol free, never going back. I love that. So good. Barb, what's the website? It is taelive.com. It's in the description of this video. I also dropped it as a comment here so you can find it. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. A different Libby. Oh no, two different. Oh no, Libby said hello twice. Hello, Libby. Good to see you. Kim, good morning, afternoon from Alaska. I really want to go to Alaska. I've never been. Maybe someday. All right, let me dive into these three things. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, just to explain this very clearly, what I am finding when I talk to people right now is that on the whole, of course, people are definitely in the middle. And again, I encourage you guys to write in your questions while I'm talking. But on the whole, people have either quit drinking in the pandemic, in which case they are concerned about, oh man, how am I going to go back to life normal, right? Not drinking. Where am I going to get there? What is this going to look like for me? And they're a little bit worried about maybe there's some firsts coming up, right? First barbecue, first concert, all of that sort of stuff. So that's sort of group number one. And again, these are real, I'm super broad brush here, people. I know like a lot of you probably fall in the middle. Then there's group two. There's group two of people that I've talked to more recently that have said to me, I'm finding I started drinking more during the pandemic, and now that things are changing, now that the weather's changing, now that life is opening up at least a little bit, it's harder for me to put down the drink than I expected. So I want to talk about these three things for all of them. So the first one I am going to suggest as something to keep in mind as you go through this process of returning to normal, will not come as any surprise to any of you that know me or Annie, and that's this: have compassion for yourself, right? Give yourself grace. This method, so much of This Naked Mind is based on the idea that compassion, and by the way, this is backed up by research, but compassion-based change is much more powerful and long-lasting than compulsion-based change. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that when we give ourselves grace for being human, and when we don't expect perfection out of ourselves, we are more likely to make this change in a more lasting and profound way. Now, how does this fall into these two camps? Well, first, I want to talk to those of you who did quit drinking during the pandemic. There's a good chance that there's some concern there, right? There's some worry there about, man, I'm going to go to my first barbecue or concert or whatever it might be, right? I'm going to go on my first vacation. Then this is awesome, right? And having compassion for yourself around the idea that, hey, I have never done this before alcohol free. So this is going to be like some other firsts for me, but accepting that that's part of the journey, and that feeling some concern and feeling some worry is perfectly normal. That's how you can have compassion for yourself in this situation. And that's how you can use the next two, which I'm going to talk about in a second, that'll really allow you to get the most out of this. So what about this other group, right? What about the group of people who are recognizing right now, oh man, I need to make a change. Something isn't quite working with me right now and the way that I'm drinking. Self-compassion, again, as I explained, is the bedrock of everything that we do at This Naked Mind. And I can tell you, I tried quitting drinking for 5 to 6 years. I spent a long time doing it, and I spent a long time beating the hell out of myself, right? Trying to use guilt and shame, trying to say, why don't you love your family? Why don't you love your life, right? Trying to hurt myself into quitting drinking. All that succeeded in doing for me was hurting me, was making me depressed. Right? It wasn't until, and I know this is true for so many other people who have gone through our programs, it wasn't until I gave myself compassion, until frankly I read This Naked Mind, when I learned the idea that alcohol is addictive to all humans, not just some of us, right? That's backed up by research. Once I was able to read that and truly give myself some grace, some self-compassion, that's how I was able to move forward. So if you are wrestling with this right now and you're worried about returning to normal because your life looks very different, your alcohol consumption looks very different than it did when we went into coronavirus, start with compassion. Right? Start with the fact that you, like everybody else in the world, had no idea what was going to happen. Right? That, like a lot of other people, what happened when you were stressed, when you were dealing with that uncertainty, is that you took a drink. And take comfort in the fact that you are not alone. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion for that, and then you will be able to move on to the next steps I'm going to tell you. There is literally nothing else I can tell you about this process that could make a bigger impact, a bigger shift in what happens going forward for you than that. Give yourself some compassion, give yourself some grace. All right, let me say hi to a few more people and I will move on to number 2. Lance said, this program made me excited about not drinking. It's not that I can't drink, I no longer want to. Exactly, man. We say all the time, you guys have probably heard Andy and I say it, right? We drink exactly how much we want to every single day. That happens to be 0, right? This isn't about me forcing myself to drink. I just literally don't want to anymore. Jen says, so true about feeling like springtime. I'm in Mass. Perfect time to do this. Yes, exactly, Jennifer. Exactly. I want to make sure. I just want to make sure I say hi to everyone here. MJ said it is so helpful to have a community of support while you go through your firsts. The LA did that for me. Yeah, exactly. And you know what's amazing about having this community is that community can hold you accountable, not to not drinking, but they can hold you accountable to giving yourself that compassion. This is a foreign idea to so many of us, right? So many of us are used to beating ourselves up, but being in a community, they're not going to let you do that, right? They're going to come to you just like I would come to you and say, hey, give yourself some grace. And that's huge. Let's see. Dennis said, I use the pandemic as an excuse to drink more. It's time for a new start. Amen, brother. I love that. And you are not alone. I do want to say, like, I've talked to so many people who are in that position. And so when we talk about normal, a lot of concerns can come up around that. So I love that you're thinking that way, man. That's so awesome. Joanne said, this program was the missing piece of my puzzle. Oh, I like that very much. Awesome. Julia, you'll get an email about the Facebook group. So check your email and you'll see. Joanne, this, obviously what I'm saying right now is free. The live alcohol experiment, we only charge $47 for it. It is a whole bunch of content and coaching, which you can check out over at taelive.com. All right, so we did the first one. Grace, self-compassion, right? This is the very first step, no matter where you are in your drinking journey, to adjusting to a new version of normal. The second one I want to give you is this: curiosity. And you know, it's amazing with curiosity is that, you know, we often encounter changes in our lives, right? Or problems or issues that come up in our lives. And one of the first things that we almost always do is we just automatically react, right? This happened and I'm angry. This happened and I'm sad. This happened and I'm happy, right? Whatever that reaction is for you, I highly recommend getting very curious about it. So how does this unfold? So for those of you who are in the group who quit drinking during the pandemic, you have these firsts coming, right? You are going to be out and doing new things, and you're going to be learning how to navigate in this new world. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can frame that for yourself, right? You can frame that in a way of like, oh, this is super scary, and I'm just going to stay in my house. I'm going to guess that that's not what you want to do. Another way, a different way of looking at this is, what is here from me that wasn't here for me before, right? Oh man, I'm going into this event and I'm feeling nervous, right? What's that nervousness about, right? Get curious, not from a place of fixing it, right? Don't get curious about being nervous before a barbecue, so that you can like force yourself to not be nervous. That's not what I mean. What I mean is get curious about that feeling so you can understand yourselves better. See, what you've done, and one of the amazing gifts that you've given yourself if you quit drinking over this pandemic, is you have opened yourself back up to you, to your true experiences. And this time is amazing because you're going to be going into all of these new different places and doing all of these different things. And you're going to be finding so much more, finding out so much more about yourself and how you feel and how you think. So approaching that with curiosity as opposed to dread, as opposed to worry, right? Get curious, because it's from this place of curiosity that we can learn and grow. And before you know it, you're going to barbecues and you're not nervous anymore. You're not worried anymore. So that's for the group of people who quit drinking during the pandemic. Now, what about for the people who've recognized, man, I need to make a shift. I need to make a change, right? This idea of opening up can be very scary. I was talking to someone not long ago, and the way the way he put it is he said, "Look, I normally have about an hour-long drive to work." And then I have to be in an office around other people all day. And then I have an hour-long drive home. And then I have to do dinner and I have to do all this stuff and get in family time and bedtimes. And then I go to sleep. Right now, I don't have that. My commute is from my bedroom to my kitchen to my desk. And I have adjusted my drinking accordingly. And I am very concerned. What happens when I do that, right? What happens when I do get back in my car to take this drive, right? What happens when I do have to be around people every day, when I can't take a nap in the middle of the day because I slept terribly last night or my head was pounding, right? A lot of people that are finding themselves in this position are really worried. Curiosity can be a huge antidote to this because as you move into this new normal, whatever this happens to be for you, just like alcohol's role in your life might have changed over the last year, you're going to have to then say, all right, how does this fit into my life going forward? And it doesn't have to be a shame thing. It doesn't have to be a thing where you beat yourself up or you try to use willpower, right? Instead, what it can be very simply and very easily is, wow, man, it's a lot harder for me to go to work like this. Man, you know what? I just realized that my weekends, now that I can go out and do things again, are just not what I want them to be. Approach this with curiosity, with that self compassion, right? Where you can say, look, it's not my fault that I'm at where I'm at with alcohol. If you don't believe me on that, by the way, join the live alcohol experiment. We will give you all the science to back that up. But if you can take that step, if you can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to get curious about alcohol's role in my life here, and I'm just going to look around. Like, yes, I started drinking more over the pandemic. Is this a way I want to live my life? And again, not from a place of judgment, purely from a place of curiosity, purely from a place of, man, I wonder how this changes things for me. That is a massive gift because what you can get out of that curiosity is you can really start to see, all right, is alcohol's role in my life something that's going to help, right? Is alcohol's role in my life something that I actually want? And so if you can approach this with curiosity, instead of saying, oh man, I'm so awful, I can't believe I did this, I'm ashamed of myself, like that's not going to help you move and change. What's going to help you move and change, and again, this is backed up by research, is giving yourself the compassion and then truly getting curious about alcohol's different role in your life. Doing that is going to help you not only feel better, but it's going to help you move forward. All right, let me take a few more comments, and then, of course, I will get to the third one. Let's see. Danielle. Hey, Danielle, how are you? I'm glad you like my glasses. Thank you. Let's see. Sandra says, I'm going to join the experiment. Do I need the book as well? I'm on a budget. No, you do not. We give you everything that you need. You get daily emails from us, but you do not need to get the book. You certainly can. Some people do to follow along, but everything you need is in the group. So if you want to join us for March, all you got to do is sign up, and then you'll start getting the videos starting tomorrow morning, which is crazy. Danielle says, can you do the live alcohol experiment too many times, or is it best to repeat if it hasn't stuck? So Danielle, that's a great question, right? There's a couple of things. The live alcohol experiment for a lot of people is this perspective shifting thing, and then their relationship with alcohol has changed. For some of us, and I can tell you for me, joining the live alcohol experiment it wouldn't have been something that would have shifted me. It would have definitely made me feel better, but I needed to do some deeper work. And we'll talk about this inside the experiment, but for some people, they need to go another step beyond the alcohol experiment into the path. And again, we'll talk about that inside of the live alcohol experiment. However, to answer your question directly, no, you do not. There is no such thing as doing this too many times. Repetition is one of the ways that we actually change some of our subconscious thoughts. It's one of the best ways to talk directly to your subconscious mind. So going through the live alcohol experiment multiple times can help you shift your thinking. Also, and I think I saw someone else say it. Oh yeah, there we go. Joanne said, I've done it 3 times and learned something each time. Yeah, there's so much information, and you know this, Danielle, if you've been through it. There's so much information in here that doing it multiple times is important, because there's definitely stuff you missed. So there is no such thing as doing the live too many times. We'd love to have you again, Danielle. Hey, Shelly, how are you? I feel like I just talked to you. I'm glad you're here, Shelly. All right, number 3. I'm going to give you number 3 right now, and here it is. One of the things that I found that is an ingredient in both adjusting to alcohol-free life and learning how to live in this new normal alcohol-free is this: radical honesty. Radical honesty with yourself, with those people around you. One thing that happens when we go on this journey with alcohol is we become very separated from ourselves, right? We become very separated from our emotions and the way we feel and the way we think, and alcohol just becomes the answer for everything. So when we quit drinking, we find ourselves in this position of, wow, what do I actually want? What do I actually need, right? And very often these deferred needs can be confusing. So I want to go over this in both situations, both groups of people I was talking about. So first, let's talk about you people who quit drinking during the pandemic. For a lot of you, you're in a situation right now where, again, you're facing some choices. Do I really want to go to that really late night party? Do I want to go to that bonfire that I always know is just a beer fest? One of the things that is so empowering and incredible about an alcohol-free life is that you are in a different position to make very different choices for yourself. So it's okay if you have some conflicting feelings. It's okay if you're like, you know what? I normally like going to the bonfire, but man, it's just like, I don't want to be around drunk people right now. That's okay. Be honest with yourself. And it is such an incredible gift, because not only are you more in touch with and more in line with these thoughts and emotions that you're having, but you're also going to be helping yourself out so much. You're going to be giving yourself a gift by actually fulfilling your needs as opposed to ignoring them, which is what we do a lot of times when we drink, right? Think back to your alcohol journey, and there's a good chance that for a lot of it, you were at a place where you were not meeting your needs, where you were not doing what you needed to do because you instead wanted to have alcohol, right? Where maybe you went to this bonfire even though you knew you didn't necessarily like those people. So you are going to have a lot of chances ahead of yourself. And this is awesome. This is awesome because what you get to do with that is you get to be more honest and open with yourself about what you really want. So radical honesty. It's important. It's so important when we're living an alcohol-free life, because you have the opportunity now, after the work that you did over this last year, to build an incredible life for yourself. The way that you get there is by being super honest about what you want and what you don't want. And it might cause some choices in your life, and that's totally okay. That is completely and totally acceptable. The key thing here is recognizing what your own internal compass is telling you. It's going to be by fulfilling that, by being connected with that you're going to be able to make different choices and continue to grow and live the life that you want. So that's for the group who quit drinking during the pandemic. What about the folks who saw their drinking increase since the beginning of the pandemic? How does radical honesty help them? Well, I'll tell you this, and I tell people this all the time who are at the beginning of their journey with alcohol. It's actually honesty is such a key part of this entire process. So if you're at a point right now where you're like, you know what, I think I need to make some shifts. I'm a little bit nervous about what this is going to look like. First, I want to point out that you're already at a place where you're being honest with yourself, right? You're already at a place where you're being honest about alcohol's role in your life and how you feel about it, right? How does it affect you? What does it do for you? Being honest about that And by the way, being honest about the things you're afraid you're going to miss out on, or the things that you're afraid aren't really going to help, or going to be hard, or going to be awkward, or, maybe you like going to that bonfire, but now I can't go. What is going to happen, right? Be honest with yourself about that. Be honest with the people around you, especially if you join a program like a This Naked Mind program, whether it's the alcohol experiment or the path. Be really honest, because it's through that honesty. It's through that honesty of saying, you know what, I really want to make a change. I really want to make a shift, but I don't know how. But I'm afraid, right? Fear is a big part of this process. One of the biggest gifts you can give yourself at the very beginning of this process is to be honest about how you feel about alcohol, how you feel about alcohol-free life. Listen, before I quit drinking, I was like, nope. Do you guys know that episode of Friends with Fun Bobby? Right? Fun Bobby is the friend of the friends on Friends that quits drinking and then is no longer fun. I was positive that was going to be me. I was absolutely sure. My life now is immeasurably better than it was then, and that's really important, right? I was honest with myself about that. I was honest with myself about, you know what, I'm really concerned about what is going to happen. What are my Fridays going to look like? What's my social life going to look like? Being honest with those concerns and voicing them, that's how you can actually work on them. It's when we're not honest with ourselves, when we're not, when we have this feeling of like, I don't know about my relationships, we just cram it down, that it becomes, instead of something that we can work through and something we can get coaching on, it becomes something that's stopping us from actually making the change we want to make. So there you go, everybody. That is the three: grace, curiosity, and honesty. Those three things are central ingredients to both growing an alcohol-free life that we don't want to escape from, but also for making that first step, right? For going in that first direction where, okay, I really want to make a change with alcohol. If you have those three things, if you have grace, curiosity, and honesty, you couldn't go into this journey more well prepared for what's ahead of you. So those are my thoughts about the new normal. I hope that was helpful for you. I think I have a few other comments I want to make sure and get to. Yeah, Lance, exactly. The coaches at the live alcohol experiment always change and bring fresh perspectives. I totally agree with that. Awesome. Libby's going to do it again. I totally love that, Libby. So excited for you. Thank you for joining us. MJ's in the comments answering people. Thank you, MJ. I truly appreciate that. All right, everybody. That's it from me. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last 33 minutes. I will be back regularly on Sundays now. I had to take last week off. It's been intense. I'm actually interviewing coaches for our institute. So we have a lot of interest in our coaching program. So that's been taking up all of my time recently. I'm back though. I'm very excited to be back. I love doing these. I've missed coming and seeing you guys every week. So thank you again for hanging out with me. And if you are ready to make a change in your relationship with alcohol, if you think now is the time that you want to be a little curious and get engaged, head on over to taelive.com. That's for the alcohol experiment live.com. That is where you can get signed up for the next live alcohol experiment. I have some incredible coaches lined up to talk to you. It's going to be daily content. And it is going to be a game changer. If you are curious about this and really want to shift your relationship, this is a fantastic place to start. So great to see all of you again. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will talk to you all very soon. Take care.